We have to speak up. We ask for 5 minutes of your time.
For far too long, we have been oppressed.
For far too long, we have stood on the sidelines and watched Black Americans be oppressed.
For far too long, we have not used our privilege to advance the treatment of Black Americans.
For far too long, we fueled war between races.
For far too long, police brutality against Black Americans has been frequent, normalized, and expected.
For far too long, we have been second-class citizens in our own country.
Now is the time.
Now is the time.
Now is the time to stand up and take action.
I'm calling on you to stand up.
Stand up for our Black brothers and sisters.
Since the end of World War II, white people have used the sudden success of Asian Americans to create a racial divide between communities of color, birthing the model minority myth.
This label pits racial and ethnic groups against one another in a competition of success, generating stigma and societal conflict. Idealized examples of Asian Americans and their success were essentially used by those in power to conceal the realities of systematic oppression of all minorities, especially for the Black population.
One of the officers complicit in George Floyd's death was an Asian American man. His silence in this act of complicity suggests the great influence of the model minority myth, propagated by white society.
By putting people of color against one another, the myth has distracted us from striving together towards liberation for all.
Staying neutral is a privilege that Asian Americans have historically depended on, but one we cannot afford to use, now more than ever. As Asian Americans, it is our duty to join the fight and support the Black American community. We are not only fighting for the liberation of the Black American community, but also for the liberation of all minority communities.
We stand in solidarity with the Black community, and we will not tolerate America's criminalization of communities based on color.
We were part of the problem, and we must be part of the solution.
This is our fight.
Stand up. It is our duty to empathize with, stand by, and take action to help our Black brothers and sisters. I'm calling out to you, my fellow Arabs, to support and fight for the rights of millions of Black people across America today. This is our fight.
Recognize privilege.
Check privilege.
Use privilege.
Acknowledge privilege.
As white people, we will never understand what people of color go through on a daily basis. But we must use our privilege to make sure their voices are heard and back them up in order to create change.
White silence is violence.
We are not Black,
but we hear you.
And we see you.
And we support you.
We cannot normalize injustice.
Neutrality is no longer an option. Considering oneself neutral is a deception only the privileged can afford. Stand up for the Black community. Speak out against police brutality. Take action.
This fight is for George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Sandra Black, Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, and for other unnamed victims.
To the young Black men and women watching this, you are loved, you are precious, you are talented. You deserve better. Please don't give up. Now is the time to come together, support each other, and fight for our liberties.
We should not be afraid, out of place, tokens, or exceptions in our own country.
This fight will not be solved with violence and hatred, but rather with our love, courage, and unity.
Injustice somewhere is injustice everywhere. This fight is for myself, my children, and my grandchildren. We gotta do better.
This is our fight. We have to be better, do better, and act better.
We need you to
Donate.
Call.
Lobby.
Vote.
Educate.
Have the difficult conversations.
With friends.
With family.
With people in power.
And most importantly,
With yourselves. Black lives matter. They have always mattered.